there, welcome to this episode of Milk the Cow podcast. Today we're joined by Gary Sullivan, who will be telling you a bit about himself when we bring him in a moment. But before we do, if you want to directly support our work, you can go to patreon.com. That's patreon.com/cowdaily. We're doing a thing over Christmas called Cow Flicks, where a lot of the back catalogue that I recorded when I was ill for a long time, it's all going on there. We're going to do watch parties and obviously release the rest of it in the new year, but for patrons only until then. There'll be a hell of a lot, probably about, 40 hours of things you could watch or more. There's already a lot on there. So patreon.com/cowdaily. If you want to make a one-off contribution to our work, PayPal link is in the description. Also, as well, if you're in the live chat and you do have questions for Gary, please get them in there. We'll have a lot today because we've got some from the social media. But we'll try and get through as many as we possibly can. So without further ado, we'll bring in your friend and mine, Gary Sullivan. Gary, how you doing, pal? You good?
Hi, how you doing, man? So it's
all right, man. I'm good.
Thanks for the invitation to be here.
I'm really happy you're coming, mate. I mean, you've got an interesting story, and I think a lot of practical advice for people as well. Before we get into that, though, do you want to just give a little bit, who are you, what you do, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I'm a Brit. I'm actually from the northeast of England, from Teesside, and I moved to Morocco in 2014 permanently. Mm-hmm. I'd been here a few times before then, lived in other countries, traveled to about 40 countries around the world, and decided to settle in Morocco and never looked back. Really, it's been great.
You look very happy. That's quite the smile you've got on your face, Gary.
Yeah, man, it's life here is really, really good. It's I mean, when we go into details with the conversation, I think a lot of what is available to people here would be just beyond a dream in the UK, and yet here it's very practical. So it's very easy to smile in Morocco.
Great. That is great. Tell you what we'll do. We'll start with some questions from the watchers and listeners, and then we'll just kind of go through it that way. Like I said, dead relaxed today. I'm just interested in having a good conversation with you. You know yourself, a podcast isn't really an interview. It's a conversation between friends, really. So that's what we'll do.
Let's go for it.
So what we got here, Malcolm Gilding has asked, having lived in a few different countries, I'd be interested to know how important they feel that prior learning and knowledge of the culture and language of the place you're relocating to is. Is there anything they'd recommend doing in advance, particularly if relocating to a non-European country?
So I can understand the question, and I think there is a lot of hesitation moving outside what people would see a comfort zone of Europe, and it's not difficult at all. So I can really only talk about Morocco. I mean, I've lived in Turkey, Lebanon, Syria, Australia, and Spain. So quite a few countries, variety of cultures and languages and religions. And honestly, it's incredibly easy to slip into any of them because the fundamentals of living in any country are pretty much the same. Really, the only thing that would actually stand out here living in Morocco is when you go into the off license to buy your alcohol, you have to put it in a bag. So you see all of these people with sports bags going into their off license and putting beers and wines and things like that. And the first time I did that, I didn't know. And I just went in, bought a bottle of wine, came out and was just holding it in my hand, walking down the street. And no one stopped me. But the police went into the off license and spoke to the guy in there and said, hey, when this guy comes back in, make sure he buys a bag. So that's the level of cultural conflict that there is, which is nothing. And here in Morocco, everybody's learning English. So like when I arrived here in 2000, when I first came here in 2007, hardly anybody spoke English. Now anybody under the age of 20, I would always speak to them in English because I know they're going to have some level of English. Religion-wise, I'm an atheist. Everybody knows I'm an atheist here. No one bothers about that. It's like, the most difficult thing I've had is people trying to understand what it's like to not believe in any God. They can understand Christianity, they can understand Judaism, but the notion of just not believing in a God, that's difficult for them to understand. But all they then do is just ask me questions, why where do you think we came from then? And, just all of those typical religious questions that you get. And, I don't hide anything. There are rules here around promoting atheism, but, I've no desire to do that anyway. I'm allowing people to just believe what you want to believe, so it's no big hassle. Honestly, it's in terms of cultural conflict, language conflict, it doesn't exist. And then on the positive side, I have so much access to things that I would not be able to have in the UK. In the UK, I'm a Brit. I am one of 64 million British people. The competition is very high. Here in Morocco, there are 36,000 people, native English speakers. We must rank about, 8%, 10%, if that. So I have a fast track to anything that I want to achieve because I am fairly unique here. Nothing special.
So would you say that's reflective of people who move to most countries where the opportunities are a bit more open for them, rather because they're a novelty, really?
Yeah. In fact, I would advise people, if you are going to move, don't move to European countries. Don't move to developed countries. Move to countries that are developing. Move to countries that we would traditionally class as third world countries, because they are the ones that give the greatest amount of it. Like Morocco is just going crazy in terms of building. Like they've just built this huge theater on the riverbank here. I mean, it's vast. They're just a small thing. They've just opened a 21st century bus station here with technology that would just be so incredible in the UK. So whereas in the UK they're closing everything down and they're talking about public sector cuts, here they're building hospitals, schools, roads. It's the exact polar opposite of the mentality of the UK.
And is it a mentality thing, Gary? Is it because like in the narrative in the UK just now is we'll have to tighten our belts, and just now it's been like that for 12 years or more. And it seems to have ingrained in the population that you just can't have it. You can't have everything. Whereas like Morocco, economically, isn't as big a country as the UK. What's the disconnect here? How does that happen?
So I'm not an economist. I don't know. I can really talk about the result of that mentality rather than how that mentality comes about. But there is great optimism here. There is great determination. They have this 2030 plan. Right. So they want this country to be at a certain place by 2030, and that's around education, literacy, health, welfare state, roads connecting the rails. They've got a high-speed train here. As far as I know, the UK still doesn't have that yet. They're talking about the HS2 or whatever it's called. I don't know. I haven't been to the UK for about 3 years. So, last time I was there, we had a queen. So, I don't fully always know what's going on there. But here, they're just building and they're investing in the country. And certainly the mentality here is if you want to get out of a hole, you have to put a construction there to lift you out of the hole. And it seems to me that what's happening in the UK is like the government, the media, even some of the people, their mentality is let's just sit in the hole until somehow the earth crumbles a little bit and the soil kind of rises us up naturally. And it isn't going to work. You have to be proactive. You have to build and invest. And what the UK is doing is not just nothing. It's doing worse than nothing. It's cutting back. And honestly, this, the mentality I find in the UK is that, like you say, we tighten our belts. 2 years, 2 years to flatten the inflation curve. Where have we heard that before? And then it's going to be, 10 years to get out of the recession. Well, that's fine. But in 10 years' time, Morocco is going to be so much better than where it is now. And the UK is going to be standing still for 10 years. So the gap between Morocco and the UK is shrinking all the more. And the UK is just gifting Morocco a decade for it to catch up.
Yeah,
It's
Gary,
crazy.
what was the sort of turning point which made you decide to leave Britain? I mean, obviously, you know, I can kind of guess, but what was the specific moment? Like,
Honestly, that there wasn't one.
Yeah,
I remember in the 1980s, a guy from a British guy moved to Poland because he was against the poll tax. And he was from Liverpool, and a friend of his in Liverpool said, well, if you don't like the poll tax, why don't you move to Poland? As a joke. And
yeah,
this guy said, oh, yeah, good idea. He's now a millionaire. He runs a radio station in Poland, and he's like
wow,
really involved in the media in Poland. So that has always been something that haunted the back of my mind. That possibility of moving away and starting afresh with whole new levels of possibilities. But like I say, I've lived in 6 countries, and you know, every time I went back to the UK, I was a little less settled. I felt a little more frustrated and angry, and you know, I was annoying all of my family and friends because I just kept on being so critical of the UK.
yeah,
And then, you know, I just thought, and then actually the thing that really made me move was I had the opportunity of being an extra in a film, and they were filming it in Morocco. So I
uh,
spent like 7 days here being an extra in a film. And it was such good fun. I would not recommend it because it's quite hard work, but doing it once was great. The
yeah,
money is ridiculously fantastic. So, and I met a lot of Brits who were already here doing that type of thing. And so I thought, yeah, you know, it's possible. And that was it, you know, and that was just the push that I thought. But because there'd been such a buildup of me, you know, stood on the edge of this cliff of should I move, should I jump, should I not jump, that actually by the time I did jump, it wasn't a huge move because I
yeah.
was already there 99% psychologically. It was just
I can
that
see how
little.
passionate you are. It, like, comes out of you, like, about what you've done, and are you really in integrity with your decision as well? You know?
It's the best decision I ever made in my life. Look, I live in a huge apartment in Rabat, the capital of Morocco. I'm 20 seconds away from the ocean. I have a beautiful view of the ocean. I have a huge apartment. I'm in the process of building a recording studio to
Yeah.
make for my YouTube videos. Here in Morocco, I am deciding what soundproofing to use in my recording studio. In the UK, that wouldn't even be a question I could think about asking. Now it's a question that I have to answer.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's absolutely just the difference between those two countries. It is beyond the belief until you actually move here. Just how big a difference it is between these two nations.
Oh, it sounds incredible, man. I tell you what, we'll
It
pull up
is.
some
It
more
really is.
small listener
Yeah, more
questions.
questions. Yeah.
Right. Kirsty Smith, how can you do this with all funds and 2 kids? I don't think you will have a plan for me.
Oh, I have a plan. I have a plan.
Oh, right. Let's hear it.
So, okay, so just to give you a brief rundown, I earn about 25 euros an hour, which is a lot of money in Morocco. I've just had my hair cut, and it cost me £1.50 to get my hair. I don't have that much hair anyway, but like £1.50. If you're, you know, a woman and you want to get like a nice hairstyle, you're looking at about a fiver. So, you know, food is incredibly cheap here, and you know, I can eat in a restaurant. I mean, I'll give you an idea. I can eat in a restaurant in in Morocco and pay 10% of my 1 hour salary. I pay my gas and electric bill, having worked for about 35 minutes. You honestly cannot believe the difference
Can I
between
just
these two
rewind a little
things.
bit? You can work
Yeah,
for 35 minutes and you can pay a gas and electric bill for the
yeah.
day or the week or the month.
Oh no, so it's the month. It's a month. We get
What?
monthly bills. Yeah,
That's
honestly,
amazing.
this is what I'm saying. It's like you know, when you're looking at this from the perspective of the United Kingdom, you think, oh, you know, it might be better living in this country. You have no idea how much better it is living outside of the UK. I've been banging
Wow.
on about this for years. If you are a young person, if you have no commitment, get out of the UK, because you know, even if you struggle to find work, even if you know you try to build a network here, you know, you might have some language barriers, you know, it's going to take you tops 2 years to get over that. How
Mhm.
long do you think it is going to help you it's going to take you to build up social mobility,
God, yeah.
buy a house in the United Kingdom. 2 years? I don't think so. So yeah, anyway.
A lot of people, it'll never happen. And
Yeah,
that's
and
the real mental health crisis as well. People don't have any hope.
Honestly, get out of the UK. I can't stress that message enough. And you know, and this the question that your viewer asked about kids and family life and stuff like that. It's one of those barrier questions that, you know, one of the characteristics I find of people in the United Kingdom is they always look for negativity. It's a British trait. Never noticed it until I left, but it's a British trait. We always look for, oh yeah, we can't do it. I bet you this is going to happen, or I bet you this is against the law, or yeah, it'll work for him, but it won't work for me. Listen, I'm a working class guy from Teesside. My dad worked in a factory. My mother was a part-time cleaner. And when it came to living in the United Kingdom or not, I thought, no, this is not for me. And so I left. I actually came here with very little money, very little money. So, you know, all of this is possible. Private schools in Rabat will probably cost, no, okay, Mike, let me give you a question. How much do you think it would cost to send your child to a private school in Rabat for a year?
Based on what you've said about electricity bills, it's going to be a low, well, obviously a far lower figure than the UK for a start, because it's, in the UK, as we know, it's set up to like put a tiered society in place. People build their networks up through these as well, and that solidifies them later on. €1,000 a year.
So it's not that low. That would be great, but it's about 3 to 4,000.
Well, that's still. I mean, I was lowballing it because of the electric, but that's still amazing.
It's incredible. So, you know, you think, let's go top end. You're paying £4,000 a year to send your kid to a private school in Morocco. Now, this is a private school, which means that you get politicians' children there, you get actors' children, sports people's children going there. So straight away, your child's chances of social mobility are increased. Wow. You meet their parents, so your social mobility increases. I've taught the children of politicians here, like ministry members. I don't know who the finance minister is in the United Kingdom now, but I've taught his son. Wow. So you know, just imagine the contacts I have now. Again, you could not even begin to dream about this in the United Kingdom. You just can't do it. Here in Morocco, it's more than a possibility. So you pay £4,000 a year. Everything is so much cheaper here now. Like I say, your gas bill is 35 minutes worth of work. You know,
that's amazing.
I work 40 hours a month.
Wow.
Think about that. I work 40 hours a month.
So what is it you're doing that brings in the €25 an hour there? Is it you're teaching at the school, yeah?
I teach English. I help exam preparation. I tend to teach wealthier kids. I mean, I'm expensive. I'll be honest with you. I am expensive. But, you know, this goes back to this whole thing about being unique or, you know, a rare commodity is that, you know, I'm a native speaker. I've had 50 years of experience of speaking the language. I write. So, you know, I write blogs and books and plays in the past. So I have a very good knowledge and understanding of English. So what that means is over the years, I teach somebody's kid. That parent then talks to their colleague. You know, they work in a bank, they work in finance, doctors, lawyers. So, you know, everybody was in that social circle. So I just got into it. And it's incredibly easy. I would say when I arrived here, so I got a job here at an English language school. It was an American private school. And it was just like in the evening, like, so the kids would go to school and then to supplement their English learning, they would go to this private school. And I worked there for about a year and a half. And while I was there, I found parents who would let me teach their child privately. It was more money than working at school. So I reduced the number of hours at school and increased the number of hours of working privately. And, you know, and it's fine. And yeah, I can eat in a restaurant for 10% of what I work in an hour. I can pay a gas bill after working 35 minutes.
So the
Buses,
work-life
taxis.
balance, as they say, is just perfect, really. It's like
Yeah.
you've got enough to keep your arm in and like keep your brain ticking over. And I guess you got time to write, like, as you say, you're doing your YouTube, all of that other things. And I bet that's like really, I mean, I'm just thinking there about like how people are in the UK where they're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, 2-hour commutes, an hour commute. It's raining, it's miserable. And you are saying that it doesn't have to be this way.
It really doesn't. And in fact, I would argue the way that it is in the UK is the wrong way. And you know, the other thing that I would say about all of this is you get in this perpetual downward spiral. And you know, you spoke about mental health, and I think it's a huge problem in the UK. And you know, people, whenever I go back there, and like I said, I haven't been back for 3 years. So like, you know, when I went back there, Brexit had been decided, but we were still in the EU.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had no COVID. COVID didn't exist the last time I was in the UK. So I'm well out of the UK loop. But I've still got family and friends there, and I find out what's going on there. And, you know, the last time I was there, you can feel the bitterness.
Oh
You
God,
can
yeah.
feel the frustration. And no one, well, I think it's starting to happen now with the Enough is the Enough and the unions and all of that stuff, which I totally support. My only criticism of that is, why the hell didn't you do this 10 years earlier? But still, you know, but normally the British mentality is to take it out on the next person down. So you get these jobsworths who are on minimum wage, who hate their life, they hate their job. You know, it's 40 hours a week, like you say, in the cold rain, they're walking around doing the most menial, honestly, the most futile, worthless job they could possibly do.
Okay.
And they take it out on the guy who's parking his car, who's just gone over the line. Or, you know, like I did a video on my channel called Why I Left the UK. And the example that I used was the bus driver who wouldn't let the young girl on the bus because he pulled away. And we're talking centimeters. He pulled away from the bus stop.
Oh God,
Didn't
I've seen
even
things like that
talk to her.
myself. Yeah.
Didn't talk to her. He, like, you know, she would ask him questions through the windscreen and he would just bib his horn as the answer. And, you know, and this is the British mentality, because everybody is so pissed off. Everybody is so angry. Everybody just wants to punch somebody.
Dude, seriously, like, I mean, I get it like, mostly through online, but like the amount of shit that I'm getting off people at the minute, express an opinion and wait to be abused is really what it is.
Yeah. Oh man, I get that all the time, the time. And you know, because if your opinion doesn't 100% fully match the other person's opinion, like there's things you've written on your Facebook page, I fundamentally disagree with. But that's,
and that is your right to as well. And we'll talk about it like as adults, and that's fine.
Yeah, and in fact, that's great. It's great that people disagree with each other, and yet, you know, no, like people are waiting for the fight, because, you know, it's like self-harming, you know.
Yeah.
But rather than have a knife and cutting yourself, you go out there for the fight, wanting somebody to punch you in your face because you're so bloody angry that you want to fight. You want a reason to fight, but you don't fight the person who you should be fighting, which is the person above you.
This is just it. This is what I'm trying to do. It's like, look up. Stop looking at like black and brown people. Stop looking at all this bullshit. Look at the people who are doing this. And I think there's a cowardice in people as well in the British psyche, isn't it? Though it's like, all right, I'll have a go at you, but I will not have a go at these people because there might be consequences for us because they're bigger than me. It's crazy, man. It's like they're the people doing this. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm trying to like turn this around, you know. It's like, and I don't always get it right, but I admit, you know.
And you know, the other thing that I would say is, really, you've either got to fight or you've got to get out. What I did was I got out. I honestly don't think the fight is something you can win. That is my personal belief. And you know, if you're asking me for, you know, what was the thing that really pushed me over, I guess now in reflection after the conversation that we've just had, I think it was the final acceptance that you are never going to win this fight. You know, I'm in my late 50s now, I left the UK when I was 50. So maybe that was another psychological thing as well when I think about it, that I was 50. And I thought, I'm going to spend the next 25, 30 years in the UK. Just, no, I have a dream. I have a life. I want to do that. And
Can I
so for
point
me,
something out when I look at your face, Gary? Can I just interject? When I look
yeah,
at your face, how old did you say you were? Late 50s, right?
57.
One, you don't look at all. There's a radiance comes out of your face, which can only come from internal happiness. Nobody can fake this.
Well, that's probably true. I am incredibly happy here. I haven't experienced stress in, I don't know, 10 years, well, hang on, I've been here, I would say 2000, 7, 8 years. I haven't experienced.
That's amazing. Like, I'm so happy for you, man.
It's great. It's so good.
But like, just looking at you, it's like you are all people have to do is look, and you're the biggest advert for what you're advocating. Like, because it's just you're legitimately happy, aren't you?
Yeah, I truly am. And it's a happiness that is so deep down that, you feel it with every little cell in your body. I don't have to drink alcohol. I don't have to go out on a Friday and Saturday night. I don't have to do a shit job. And then, that's the first time I've ever swore on, you watch my videos, and I never swear at all. But
do you know what it is? I never swear generally when we have guests, but when we don't, I'm just a volley of it. But just where I was brought up in the Northeast, my mum was like, "Don't swear around guests," and it's supposed to be in my head.
Because you don't know who's watching these things, and it could be like
Don't worry about it. It's a light one. I say the motherload one.
So, the thing is, people, I think people do that, they work really horrible lives, really, for 5 days. And then for this 2 days, they go, right, I'm going to try and cure myself of this unhappiness. So they pile everything into Friday night, Saturday, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. And then by Sunday evening, it's like, oh my God. So they do it again. Me, I'm like, I'm 24/7 happy, man. I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning. So Monday is like Monday afternoon. So after I'll finish this, I'll give you my week's timetable.
Yeah, do it,
man. So after I finish this, I will write the script for a video that I'm doing about alcohol, the relaxing of alcohol laws in Morocco. So I'll write the script for that. Tomorrow I will edit it and probably upload it on my YouTube channel. And then, so this evening, I will go out and teach these 2 boys, and they're really great. And basically, all I do is sit there and talk with them and introduce them to new vocabulary and words. And we'll probably talk a lot about the World Cup that's going on. So yes, I'll do that. So that's Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday is my longest teaching day because the schools here only operate Wednesday morning. So Wednesday afternoon and evening, I can teach privately. And then I teach a doctor on Thursday morning for 1 hour, and then that's it. So
can I just interject and clarify something? Are you saying that schools are only on Wednesdays? Like
no, Wednesday morning. So it's all day Monday, all day Tuesday, Wednesday morning, all day Thursday, all day Friday.
Sorry, mate. I just want to clarify.
So from Thursday afternoon till late Monday afternoon, I don't teach. So that's when I chill, read a book. Write, make videos. Yeah, that's when I go for walks. Yeah, that's what I do.
Oh, mate, it sounds beautiful. Do you know what it is as well? Like there will be, because that British mentality, when people see this and whatever, there will be people look at that happy bastard. Who does he think he is? There will be.
I get that.
I'd like to direct this to them. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's the trap of the class system and all of the unhappiness.
Yes,
don't do it.
You could not have had a more humble start in life than one I had. Working, my dad in a factory, my mother a part-time cleaner, 3 kids. In a council house in Stockton-on-Tees. You don't get much basic than that.
My upbringing, mate. I had a brother. We shared a bedroom in a 2-bedroom council house. My mother she worked as a dinner lady. My dad worked in a warehouse or a rope factory, or he was a painter and decorator. Fully working class people,
Yep. And the other thing, you do that, you get that kind of who does he think he is mentality, and then you get the and this is the one you get the most. You're lucky. I get that a lot. Nothing to do with luck. You know, I didn't win the lottery. I didn't, you know, I didn't inherit money. I just thought, you know what? I don't want what the UK is offering. So I got out. And believe me, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Anyone.
True, man.
I came here with very little money, very little money. I had enough to last me 1 month, and then I knew I was going to get paid at the end of the month at the school. But yeah, I mean, and because everything is so cheap here, that, you know, if you've got some money in the bank, just, you know, bring that with you. And the EasyJet flights between you know, the UK and Morocco, just, you know, it's easy. It's so easy. Just
It's
do it.
amazing, isn't it? Gary, how much rent do you pay a month? Like,
So I pay, so it's 5,000 dirham. I have dirhams here. The easiest way to calculate it is to knock a zero off and call that euros. So it's 500 euros, which is about what, 480 £80, something like that. I would say something like that. But you've got to add the fact that it's a 3-bedroom apartment that I have. It's right on the ocean front.
Wow.
I mean, I would show you the view, but we've got rain here today, which is great. Oh, that's another thing. Bad weather is so much enjoyed here because it happens so rarely that when it rains, you love it. You love the rain here in Morocco because it's so rare that you need it.
Man, like 480 a month, 3 beds, just on the waterfront. That is crazy.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Can you? And this is the capital, so that would be London. So imagine,
You're not even getting in London. Don't even bother buying an Oyster card. You're not doing it. It's not happening for that money. You know, like you're not even getting a shed for that, man. It's like it's not happening.
And you know, public transport here, like the taxis are amazing. There's blue taxis running around Rabat, like rats, just scattering everywhere. So you can always hail a taxi. Incredibly cheap, the taxis. They have the bus service here is it's 5 dirham. So you know I think it's about 12 dirham to the pound. So 5 dirham, you're looking at about what, 40 pence?
Dear 40 me. You can't even knock a note off that, can you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's crazy. It's absolutely whatever you imagine it could be like. It's going to be better.
Gary, you're still talking because we'd agree to do half an hour, but I'm really enjoying this, and I think there's like more to say. So you're right to keep talking.
Man, I could talk for hours now.
Happy days. We'll do another 15, 20 minutes.
Do you have more questions? Because let's kind of focus it.
Yeah, man, definitely. Let's do it. So Joanne Gillum's saying, having got one foot in a non-EU country, I'll be really interested in hearing what he has to say. What, if anything, does he miss about the UK?
Yorkshire puddings.
Yeah, straight in, no messing there. No Yorkshire puddings.
That's it. You know, I mean, I see my family. My mother is 90 years old, and I talk to her on Skype. And what I've done is I've got a Skype number. So all she has to do is use her landline, and she phones my laptop.
Amazing.
Other members of my family, you know, they're much more IT savvy. So I talk to them, my friends, you know, I've got friends in the Ukraine right now, and you know, I'm talking to them about what's happening in the Ukraine. So in terms of socializing with people, I don't really miss anything. And you know, I mean, I would struggle, you know, I mean, maybe, you know, it would be nice to go back to the UK and have a pint, to go into a pub and have a pint. But I have no idea how much a pint costs right now. So I know it's going to shock.
Don't even ask. It's horrible.
It's going to shock.
Probably as much as your rent.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So, you know, I miss that. But, you know, when I've experienced that in the past, you know, after about 3 days, you know, once I've seen my family, hugged everybody, caught up on news, face to face, you know, I'm kind of missing my ocean view apartment. So for me, the UK is where I go for a short break. So I don't miss the culture. I don't miss the life. Because with that comes all the negative mentality, and I just don't want it. In fact, I love the UK now, because I'm there for like 3 or 4 days, and it's great experience. I see my mother, I see my family, I see my friends, and then I get out. I'm not trapped. I get out, and then I come back here, and everything's great again, you know.
I'm
So,
honestly like internally bursting with joy for you and how joyful you are as a human being. We need
yeah,
more of this in the world, man. You need to
we
spread
do.
this. I know you are with YouTube and whatever. The links, by the way, for everything you do will be in the description of this when it goes out
Excellent,
properly.
excellent. Did you
So if
know
people want to,
I do a lot of videos that compare life in the UK and Morocco, because really the message that I would want to get across, and this is why I'm very happy that you've given me the opportunity, is to say to people that there is a solution to this.
yeah,
And for me, I would say the solution is not in the UK. The solution is finding a way to leave the UK. And even if you've got 2 kids, you know, £4,000 to put your kid into Eton. You know, it's
that is amazing, and we know it's a lot of it's not just the education; it's the networks people build,
yeah,
and it puts you into that level of society, and the opportunities go around that circle, don't they? So
absolutely. And you know, here in Morocco, they are gagging for English. They really, really, really want to learn. They're abandoning French like crazy here. So if you can do anything in English, you know, don't think you have to be an English teacher. If you're a beautician, come out here and start an English-speaking beauty salon. And I'll tell you, the rich people in Morocco would love that.
That's mad. That, like,
You know, like if
if
you're into football, start a football club, like a teenage football club. They're football crazy here in Morocco. You can imagine with the World Cup, you know, and they've just got through to the qualifying, to the knockout stage. They're bouncing up and down here like they've just won the World Cup. So, you know, if you're good at football, if you're good at personal training, if you can draw, if you can do anything in English, come to Morocco and do it here in English, and you will have to work less, and you will get more money, and you will be happy. And bring the kids.
Yeah, one thing I'd add to this, if people are worried about it not being a European country and whatever, maybe try Tangier, because you can get short hop ferries back to southern Spain, and you know, you might feel connected to it. But if anybody's been to Morocco, they'll know it's a good country. It's, you know, sometimes it's that British mentality of like, oh, I don't know about that. It's Africa.
You know? Yeah, well, so you know a little bit about the geopolitics of Morocco. Then, you know, it's in the northwest of Africa. It's on the Mediterranean coast in the north and the Atlantic coast in the west. It is positioning itself as a bridge between Africa and Europe, and that's why it's building all of these infrastructures of motorways and you know and schools, because they need their people now to be educated, particularly in English. So like I said, they are gagging for English speakers here, because they're wanting to be this international country, this international hub, and because of where it's placed in terms of Africa. And you know, there's a lot of countries in Africa that are starting to come out of poverty, and they're seeing Morocco as that gateway into selling their stuff into Europe, and also across the Atlantic into the United States and South America. So it's just this great hub, and it's building itself up. So in the next 20, 30 years, it will be such an important country. And then, you know, you look at what's happening in the UK, and they're going to, oh, well, guys, we're going to go into 10 years of recession, but everybody hibernate for 10 years, and that's fine. And then all of these other countries are going, yeah, the UK is hibernating for 10 years. We'll catch up, and they will. They will catch up. They are building schools and hospitals here at a crazy, crazy rate. You know, in the UK, they're closing libraries. They're doing 4 days at school because they can't pay the fuel bill. Here, they are building schools.
Oh man, like, and that's the thing. I'm happy for them, and I wish Britain had a plan 2030, and just like something for people to be proud of. Like, it begs the question, like, how has your view changed on what it is to be British over the years? I mean, suppose we could break that down into what was your concept of what being British was, and how has that changed into now with your life experiences in Morocco, like from the outside looking in, I suppose?
So honestly, and you know, this isn't going to sound nice, but I struggle to, you know, I think, you know, the British people are nice. You know, I think if you remove all the bad things about what's going on in the UK. You know, that they are resilient, but they are too resilient.
Yeah.
You know, the British are incredible. I say that the British are the most docile, compliant people on the planet. And, you know, and I do. I firmly believe that. They are sucked into their media much more than you realize you are, on both sides. You know, this idea that, you know, you are wrong and I am right. You know, you're not following the science. You're an anti-vaxxer. You know, you're only saying these things because the media tells you that these people are wrong. You know, there are a lot of issues around COVID, a lot of issues. And, you know, we need to address those small component parts. But so there's this, it's too simplistic. People are too narrow-minded. They're too narrow-focused. They're too bitter. They're too enraged. And they're too negative. And I think, you know, a lot of that is down to the mental health issue that's going on in the UK. I think it's far more endemic in the UK than people realize it is. I would say so many people are suffering from a level of mental health. The sense of desperation, the sense of hopelessness, the sense of even like, you know, we have to tighten our belt for 10 years. You know, it brings a cloud over to your mind, you know, and you feel dejected, you feel down, and this is the vibe I get from the UK. So, but you know, I have to say, some of this comes from the people themselves. You know, you've got a prime minister that you never elected, and what's the response that people have? Oh, well, at least he's calmed the markets. 2 months ago, you didn't give a damn about the markets. The only reason why you think Rishi Sunak is doing good with calming the markets is because the media and the government have told you that calming the markets is a priority. I mean, like, you know, you don't know that. And you know, the thing about the British is that they will say, oh, you know, I'm like, you know, we need to calm the markets. Okay, why do you think we need to calm the markets? You're not an economist. You don't know what's going on in government. And yet, you know, you're coming out with this bold opinion as if it's a fact. People mix up their facts and opinions in the UK tremendously.
Yeah.
So, you know, and so they do this. So they actually actively work against their own interest with this belief that what they are saying is a knowledgeable fact when it's really just an opinion. You should be getting rid of Rishi Sunak. Everybody, you know, general strike. This is the thing that really, I remember living in Newcastle and I was talking to this guy and I said to him, this was after the first austerity in 2010, something like that.
Yeah.
I remember talking to this guy and I said to him, you know, the UK should have a general strike. And his response to me was, oh, we can't, it's against the law. And I thought, well, what are they going to do? Just arrest everybody? Like just one day, everybody stops working. What is the government going to do? And arrest everybody? But no, there is this compliance of like, oh no, it's against the law. We probably can't do, sorry, putting on a funny voice, but it just gets me. You know, look how angry I am now. Now
this is probably the most angry you've been in about a year.
yeah. And it's the UK that makes me done. Let's talk about Morocco, man. It makes me smile.
Cool, man. I'm just going to put something up before we do. Jacqueline here has said, just out of curiosity, I looked up the most expensive property to rent in London. It's over 400,000 per calendar month. And that was for a 2-bed flat. That's crazy. It's one less bedroom than you've got in an oceanfront property. Mad.
That's crazy. No, come out. Honestly, come out to the UK. Why don't you come out and do a podcast here in Morocco? You can stay in my place, use my recording studio, and we'll do something.
I might take you up on it. Actually, it sounds amazing, mate.
Yeah, and actually,
right. I'll tell you what we'll do though. We'll take a few more of the listener questions simply because, like, obviously we could talk all day, but I want to keep it tight too. You know. So Zoe is saying, is it possible for a non-working disabled person?
Okay, so welfare is pretty crap here.
Yeah, she does go on asking the live chat here, actually, what are the medical services like? So it's kind of like straight away,
Yeah, so there is a form of NHS, but it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, but having said that, private health insurance, which I have, is, you know, it's about 200 £200 a year I pay for private health
Really?
insurance.
That is amazing. So what does that cover you for? Everything, like anything?
Yeah,
that
yeah,
causes-
that's everything. That gets me a nice ambulance. The ambulances here are pretty scary. It's basically an empty van. So, you know, like our ambulances are like hospitals on wheels. Here it's an empty van that takes you to the hospital. But, you know, for 200 a year, you get a nice ambulance. And they often share ambulances here. I once had let's be a little bit negative about Morocco. I remember once seeing a road accident here, and the ambulance turned up, and there was already somebody in the ambulance, and they just put this guy who had fallen off his motorbike into the ambulance with this other guy. And I thought, okay, interesting. But yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is, as you know, I'm not talking about Morocco from the point of view of Moroccans. And really what I should point out is that Moroccan life for Moroccans can be quite difficult. And I would not want to detract from that. But if you're from the West, we have a really good lifestyle. And, you know, it's other things, you know, like the police treat me with so much respect, like tons and tons of respect, because I'm white skinned and I'm European. You know, I go into ministry buildings and the bureaucracy level, the way that I am treated, the way that people from sub-Saharan Africa or even other Moroccans are treated, I am treated much, much more favorably. And, you know, that I wouldn't say that that's wrong on my part because I'm not getting any extra special treatment. They just don't treat other people as well as they should.
Understood, yeah.
It's not that I have white privilege. I'm just treated like a normal person, basically.
Got you.
But that accounts a lot for, you know, So yeah, oh, and the other thing I'd say about disabled people is the roads and the pavements are not that good. So I don't know what the disability is, but if they're in a wheelchair, that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough. But I've seen a lot of blind people here in Morocco, and you know they don't have guide dogs. The guide dogs are not a big thing here in Morocco. They have white sticks, and you know you see them tapping along the street, and the level of bravery that they have crossing the roads in Morocco. I mean, you know, they get a lot of help. People are very community spirited here. But still, I would not want to be disabled in living in Morocco. I really
got you. I'll take one more from the watchers and listeners. Ali Keefe, is it in any way practical for the everyman without the need for significant funding, etc.? People have been talking about that in the live chat too, like saying that the startup costs scare people.
Okay. So let me, like I say, I didn't come here with anything more than a month's money here. So I would say that I live very comfortably, and I spend about €1,000 a month.
€1,000 a month, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, you know, buying things that I don't particularly need. You know, I mean,
is that including like all the cost of living? Like if you want to go,
that's everything. Food, going out to restaurants, buses, taxis. You know, it's it's my mobile phone charges, my Wi-Fi. It's it's about 1,000 a month. My biggest expense is my accommodation. That's my biggest expense. So, you know, as long as you can generate, and that's as a single person. So obviously, if you've got family, it's greater and greater.
Of course.
But you know, as an individual single person, you could very comfortably live in Morocco for €1,000, very comfortably. Even less if you just wanted to like scrape by. So I would say in terms of startup costs, you need if you don't have a job, if you don't apply for a job before you get here, and there are many jobs to do with schools, and you know, I mean, the British schools, English language schools, particularly British schools, are opening up here like crazy because everybody wants their kids to learn English. So you could very easily establish yourself as a private tutor, and you know, you would get money. And like I say, it's €25 an hour. That's the going standard in Rabat, €25 an hour. So you know, if you probably got about 2 months worth of money, £2,000, £3,000, £3,000 if you can do that. That would make your time here very comfortable. Yeah. But I know people who've come here on much less than that. I know people who've come here and then went back to the UK to like for their dole money or their welfare, whatever it is, and then just fly back out again and fly back and fly back. Basically spent a lot of their money on the flights. I don't know if you can do that now because of, things are not that cheap. But yeah, I mean, it's if you want to do it very easily, $2,000.
Amazing.
$2,000. I would even suggest you get a bank loan because you could pay that bank loan off very, very quickly.
Yeah, like get a bank loan, come out, get cheap rent, make the money paid off.
Yeah. Just take a little bit of a risk. Stop being negative. Stop thinking, oh, he's lucky, or no, you can do this. You can do this, and there is nothing that's keeping you in the UK apart from your fear and your excuses to not be able to move.
I'm going to agree with you wholeheartedly there, Gary, because the top and bottom of it is any great change, it's going to bring fear. It's going, and especially if you've got that British negative mentality. But sometimes, I mean, you've just got to look at the evidence of the state of the country. It's like, do you want to be unhappy or do you not? And I mean, we've talked for like 50 minutes here, and I could talk in another 50. But like in terms of editing the show, we couldn't really do that. So give us your links and all of that. We'll obviously include them when we put this out. But if you want to speak on them now, how can people find you?
So it's my name, Gary Sullivan, and I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'm all over the place because I have so much time. I have nothing else to do but go on social media. So yeah, that's it. And just maybe as one final parting thought, I would say, even if you struggle for 2 years here in Morocco, and it doesn't have to be Morocco. Go to Vietnam, go to Brazil, go to just somewhere that's not the UK.
Well, I spoke to another guest, right, Gary, and he lives in Vietnam, and he's an ecologist, and he doesn't earn as much as he would in the UK. But like you said, he's moved up, got lots of opportunities, and his cost of living versus what he earns, he's actually better off than being in the UK.
Yeah, and I am too. I choose to work 40 hours a month. If I worked even an extra 5 hours, it would be crazy, just an extra 10 hours. So I have that flexibility of working that little bit more as and when I want to. But, even if it's going to be tough for you for 2 years, let's go massively wild. It's going to be tough for you in Morocco for 5 years. You've got two options. You can always go back to the UK because you've got a British passport. You will always get back in to the country. And if you tough it out for 5 years, how long is it going to get you a level of social mobility if you stay in the UK? 5 years, and that would be maximum amount of suffering time that you would have. Would be, in the UK, could be the rest of your life. If you are even in your 20s now, 30s, getting a house, getting a mortgage, getting a job where you are not absolutely petrified of losing that job. And so you lose your house, you lose your car, you become trapped in your job. Your boss owns your life. Do you want that for the rest of your life, or do you want to suffer in Morocco for 2, 3, 5 years maximum? To me, there's no choice. There's no choice.
It's that first bit though, isn't it, Gary? It's like getting over that hump psychologically. And I assume on your channel, you've got loads of videos about things like that, visas, all that legalities, that kind of stuff as well.
I've started to do that because so normally my whole thing was just how life is great here in comparison to the UK. One of my most popular videos is the cost of living in the UK versus Morocco, and minimum wage, living a life of minimum wage in Morocco versus the UK. And but now I have started to do these videos about how you get here, what happens when you get here, that first year. Because I do think in the UK there is this growing feeling of we need something else. The UK government is in no way going to look after you. No way. They don't care about you. The only person that can care about you is you. And the UK structure is set up so that you never succeed. You need to leave.
No lies being spoken, Gary. None at all. You're dead right, mate.
Yeah, man, I know. I'm living proof of this thing. Get out
I
of
see it.
the UK. It is
Definitely.
killing you. It is killing you.
No, but it is. I mean, like we can look at studies around stress, and it's one of the biggest killers, especially for men as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And a lot of disease and whatever comes from that stress. I mean, it's disease, isn't it? You're not at ease. And I know this from having stress in the past. It triggered off like physical health issues. So yes, absolutely, do whatever it takes to lower your stress and maximize your life.
Life expectancy. Why is life expectancy in the northeast of England, one of the poorest parts of England, one of the places that has the least amount of social mobility? Why do you have one of the lowest life expectancy? The government is literally taking years off your life.
Mhm.
Why are you still there allowing them to do that? Get
Absolutely
out
spot
of
on.
the UK. That's the solution. Waiting for the UK to improve itself. You're wasting your time. Get out.
Spot on, and that's an amazing point to leave it. Mate, I've really
Yep.
enjoyed talking to you. Loved it. In
Yeah,
fact.
me too. It's
And
been great. Thank you
and-
so
and-
much for the opportunity.
thanks for all the joy and happiness. It's like it's at a premium these days, and you just give it away liberally. So
It's
I'll
all
invite
here
everybody.
waiting for you.
Follow Gary. All links will be in description down below. And once again, thanks for being here, and thanks to everybody out there for your participation. It's what makes the show.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And Mike, I'll see you in Morocco soon, very soon.
you might. I might actually come down there and check this out myself. Like,
Dude,
you know,
you
like when things
really
settle
should
down a
do.
bit for us, I think that's a good thing because it sounds amazing. So let's keep in touch and if there's any scope for follow-ups in the future, let's work together again.
Yep, for sure.
Happy days, brother. Thanks very much. For everybody else,
See you later.
see you later, brother. I'll just put myself full screen there. Go to patreon.com/cowdaily. That's patreon.com/cowdaily if you would like to support our work directly. Also, if you want to do that on a one-off basis, links in the description for PayPal. And as I said, all of Gary's links will be in the description when this goes up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and new YouTube channel, youtube.com/cowdaily. See you all later. All the very best. Cheers. Bye-bye.